been happening there has been devastating. But I have several friends who have family members there. It's a lot. It's a lot. And because we live on this ball together, I don't make a separation. We are all part of a global community, and we're going to have to be there for one another. And I also want to remind us that we are human beings having an experience here, and there are people vacationing who are not behaving in the way that you would expect. Yes, I know you probably spent and saved up to go to Jamaica to have a paradise type of experience, but there's a hurricane that nobody asked for. Ain't nobody called for Melissa to come. And if it happened while you were there, that's how stuff is, just how the cookie crumbles was what they say. The least you could do is be gracious. Somebody posted a video earlier, and so I'm going to just play it, maybe without commentary. I think I'm going to comment. Play it, Smith.
So what are y'all doing for gas? You all knew this storm was coming, right? So you going to give us bag lunches, bag breakfast, some pastries? That's so disrespectful.
See? This is what I was talking about. But when I brought it up, I got backlash. Some of these tourists are so wrapped up in the fact that they paid their hard-earned money to get to paradise that they're not even able to humanize the fact that a natural disaster just happened. Elitism at its finest. You're complaining that your breakfast is not as luxurious as you would have liked it to be, when somebody 2 miles up the road just swam in the living room and watched all of their food supply for the month wash away. And they were already poor. It's tone deaf. I thank the creator who recorded that, because that's what's going on in Jamaica right now. People are complaining who are getting the best care and the best safety and getting taken care of at the highest degree on the island. And there's people around the corner that just lost everything that they own, and they were already impoverished. It's tone deaf. I'm not going into an oncology unit and complaining about strep throat. Do you get it? It's tone deaf.
I think it's a little bit more than tone deaf. And as I watched that video and listened to that video, I was also thinking about the number of people jumping into people's comments who are on Snap, who will not have Snap. As of, I think, tomorrow, Saturday, will not be getting their check to go eat, to have food. And it's not tone deaf. There's something broken. I think there's something wrong with humanity. Maybe it's the lack of humanity. But I think for too long we've tolerated behavior that is antithetical to our common existence here on this planet. And I think we have not provided the ample consequences for people who are horrible. And then we even allow for them to elect someone that is horrible as a human being. And it just follows, that I'm entitled to everything. And I know you probably think people who are on SNAP or on welfare just are lazy and they just need to get a job and that they're entitled. No, like, to have compassion, if they're before the grace of God, be grateful that you're not hungry. Be grateful that you have a roof over your head. Be grateful that you're not in a condition where you need to go and have the government basically look at your anus and give, you have to give over everything to just get basic services. So I wanted to play some clips to start the show to kind of shape this whole SNAP thing. I have never been food insecure, obviously, in my entire life. And I say obviously because I carry weight. But I'm grateful that I've never had to worry about where my next meal was coming from. But my God, to have the compassion to be able to understand that there are people out there who are hungry for real, and not just in other countries, in this country. Not for their own doing, not because they are inherently stupid or evil or anything, but because the system has made it so that they live in a food desert, or their ends don't meet, and they have maybe children with disabilities, or they're elderly and they're on a fixed income. Like, do we not have a heart? So I'm going to play some things because the government has money to cover this. So maybe we should start. Smiz, I was going to start with who relies on SNAP. Let's do that. Let's talk about who the people are who are on SNAP. Sue O'Connell, NBC Boston. Play that one.
So who's really on SNAP? You know, food stamps. SNAP stands for Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. Well, whatever you're thinking, you might be wrong. 42 million Americans could lose their grocery money on this Friday. Now, think about it this way. There's 348 million Americans, and about 42 million Americans are on SNAP, and that's about 12% of our population. About 1 in 8 Americans use SNAP benefits. Let's take a look at who they are. 40% of people on SNAP are children. 16 million kids rely on SNAP. 1.2 million veterans rely on SNAP. And here's something that's interesting. 22,000 active duty military families rely on SNAP. Yes, people actually serving our country rely on food stamps. 1.5 million college students are on SNAP, and 8 million seniors rely on SNAP to help them make ends meet. Now, you may have heard that people have said that illegal immigrants are using SNAP. That's not true. However, 1.5 million legal immigrants, like long-term green card holders, are on SNAP. Rules were changed in July, so people who are refugees or asylum seekers, they can't access SNAP anymore. And here's the kicker. About a third of SNAP households have someone who is working a job. They just aren't making enough money to make ends meet. How much do they get? Well, the average SNAP benefit is $188 a month. That means they have $6 a day for groceries. So this isn't getting cut because there's no money. There's a $6 billion emergency fund the government could use, but the Trump administration and the Republicans are against it. So when this hits on Friday, 42 million people, 1 in 8 Americans, children, veterans, seniors, active military families, will lose a safety net. And for some, it could be a lifeline. Food banks have already said they can't handle what's going to happen. In fact, no one can. Oh, you might be wondering, how much of our federal budget goes to SNAP? Well, it's only about 1.5% of the entire budget. That means $288 a year Americans pay to support people who need SNAP.
How much goes to the military? As we are about to deploy National Guard into all of the states. All 50 states are going to have National Guard set up. Pete has just announced that it's going to be a quick reaction force, issued an order to the National Guard in all 50 states and 4 territories to form rapid response units that can be sent out on demand to contain, quote, civil unrest. Why are you expecting civil unrest? They're going to be armed with batons, body shields, tasers, pepper spray. How much money did we spend for Alcatraz for, what was that? What did they call that? Smith, the alligator Alcatraz in Florida that they had to then close down months later. How many millions of dollars were spent on that? How many millions of dollars spent on a damn ballroom? This is 1.5% of the budget. And they have it. They have it. And everybody who's saying good, people should starve? Is that what you're saying? J.D. Vance goes on vacation. We pay for that. Trump goes golfing. We pay for that. You don't have a problem paying for that, but you're mad about paying for people eating? And 40% of them are children? Who are you? Who raised you? What makes you? Oh, my God, we are broken. We are broken. Senator Ben Ray Lujan from New Mexico, I think I played him before on these airwaves. He talks about the USDA and their plan. Play it, Smith.
I appreciate this room being full. I'm getting a chance to visit with you in the hallways, but also here. I mean, this shows the interest here. I'm going to repeat something Senator Schumer shared, and it goes to Secretary Perdue. This funding for SNAP has never lapsed in the history of the United States. Last shutdown under President Trump. They found a way to use this money. As a matter of fact, the contingency fund this year was already utilized to pay for staff for SNAP. They already tapped it once. And that plan that Senator Klobuchar talked about, here it is. Why would this magically disappear from the website? And why Speaker Johnson lying to the American people saying, oh, the law does not allow for this to happen. It's bullshit. I'll say it. I come from a small farm. I know the difference of good soil and the bullshit that goes in it, and this is the bullshit. Taking these plans down to try to lie to the American people and justify why it's okay for people to go hungry. 40 million people, plain and simple. 40 million people that are going to miss a meal in the United States of America. And I want to commend every one of my Democratic colleagues that is a co-sponsor of this legislation, and many of us that are co-sponsors of Senator Hawley's legislation, including all of my Republican colleagues. I was asked a question earlier today by one of the journalists about, what's getting in the way of this? Well, President Donald Trump, Secretary Rowlands, and now Leader Thune. He's not allowing a vote on a floor that has bipartisan support, and heck, it could just be a UC. Which Republican's going to stand up and object to their constituents eating? And by the way, while New Mexico is at the top of the list of states that will be impacted per capita of SNAP beneficiaries, Louisiana's in the top 5. Third. I'll remind you the state that the Speaker of the United States House of Representatives is from. I hope his constituents find him. I hope the Republican colleagues, I think Leader Schumer, you shared with us it's 75 now. 75 House Republicans that have told the press something has to be done to prevent health insurance premiums from doubling. They should come to Washington, D.C. They don't need to wait for the Speaker to invite them. Come down here. Let's get together. If the Speaker doesn't want to get in a room, how about the rest of us get in a room? I'll close with this. Chuck, as I turn this back to you. We had a governor from New Mexico, Bruce King, cattle rancher. And he always used to tell folks, if you can't come up with a solution, sometimes you need to lock them up in a barn until they come up with the solution. Well, Mr. President, come back from jetting around the world, get back to the White House. President Trump said it's up to a president to prevent a shutdown. He said it does not bode well for presidents if there's a shutdown. Well, come on back. Bring everyone back. Let's get this done. But in the meantime, all that needs to happen is for Secretary Rowlands to say, no, we're going to use this fund. We're going to pay people food. Or we're going to pay for this program to get people food. It can happen right now. There doesn't even need to be a vote. But if they want to vote, bring one of these bills up. I'm confident it'll pass the Senate floor. Maybe that'll force House Republicans to come back.
Yeah. Josh Hawley, of all people, a bipartisan bill to fully fund SNAP is on the table. Just pass it. But they don't want to because chaos is the point. Pain is the point. This is all about pain. Because if you can keep people anxious and scared and frustrated and outraged, then you can pick their pockets. You can do anything to them. Jasmine Crockett, representative from the great state of Texas, she also was pondering this because Mike Johnson, liar that he is out there saying, well, if the Democrats, we just need 5 Democrats. No, you actually have the power to fund this, but you don't want to. The money's there, but you don't want to. You rather 40% of SNAP. And by the way, I didn't even get into the racial breakdown. It's going to hurt people in these districts, in these rural areas that overwhelmingly supported this president. They're the majority of people on public assistance in this country. They're the majority of people on public assistance, and 40% of them are children, elderly, veterans. But you care about America first, make America great again. How do we do that? Jasmine Crockett, she had something to say about it. Let's play that.
They know how to get rid of the filibuster when they want to. I am not telling them that they need to or whatever, but I'm just saying. Right now, they want to say, oh, it's the Democrats that are holding us down when, hell, we ain't been able to do much of anything, right? Because we don't have the numbers. But now they're like, oh, it's the Democrats' fault. It is not. It is not. I mean, you understand what the numbers are. You were supposed to be able to count. And part of counting is also making sure that you understand when you got to negotiate. You don't have 60 in the Senate. That means you have to talk to the other side. Guess what? Joe Biden didn't have 60 in the Senate either. But guess what? He never had a government shutdown. So for all the talk about Joe Biden being senile, Joe Biden being incompetent, and all the other nonsense, I just want to remind y'all that in the last 4 years, you did not endure a shutdown. In fact, this is the shutdown president. That's the only thing that he is very accomplished at. And listen, nobody can beat him at it, okay? When you run the tape on him, this is what he does. And as far as I'm concerned, and these are words that he has shared with us before, leadership comes from the top. So if there's a shutdown, it starts at the top. Let me tell you, this is his fault. Joe Biden knew that he needed to negotiate because we were in a divided government. He also knew that in his entire 4 years, he never had 60 votes in the Senate. So if you want to see, or if you want to know what real leadership looks like, Joe Biden was that guy. I just want to put that out there, as people felt away about his age, as they tried to act like he was senile. Somehow he managed to make sure that we didn't go into recession after the abysmal job that Donald Trump did the first time, yet now we're headed into a recession. And he managed to make sure that like we were actually growing. Our economy was actually getting better. I get that it was not perfect, but it was going in the right direction. Last time I checked, those grocery bills have not come down.
And here's the problem with, we didn't just do a reverse. We like hit a tree. That Build Back Better was going to bring broadband and all kinds of clean energy jobs. As we've talked about many times on this show, clean energy jobs were coming to people, getting them out the coal mines, putting them into jobs, making sure that the rural areas had internet and broadband and all of the things that they need to succeed. It takes time to build that, right? So that bill passed. We were a year in, and then that just got stopped. Just like Carter putting solar panels on the White House and creating a whole Jimmy Carter, I'm talking about the president, and then Reagan coming in and taking everything away. This is exactly how we end up in recessions and in places of dire need. And then you're going to ask for a Democrat to save you because that seems to be the pattern here. But let's break the pattern. I feel like we're in generational trauma. It's time to break it. It's time to break it. It's enough already. And we're not even a year in, and it's just the beginning. I have so many horrific stories today, and I apologize, but I just need us, maybe it's the weather here and the weather in Jamaica. I feel like a storm is coming. And, I'm putting a tarp up, because my roof may be leaky. I'm going to definitely have umbrellas and flashlights and make sure the batteries, if I have a generator, make sure there's gas in it or whatever. Like that's the time that you prepare. And not hearing about these things is not going to make them go away. So we're going to talk about them today. We're going to talk about them. Tommy Tuberville, is that how you say it? Tuberville. I think he is a despicable, very ignorant, obtuse, knuckle-dragging being that they elected. Again, this should have been foreshadowing. They put that man in the Senate. They put him in Congress. Oh, my God, a football coach who can't put two sentences together that make any damn sense, was asked about this government shutdown. And this is a man, again, who coached, only won because of those black bodies on that football field at Auburn, at Ole Miss, Texas. All of those black bodies in the homes that he sat in and promised those families we're going to take care of those boys. And oh, my God, look at what he's doing. Look at what he's doing. This is a short clip, but I have some commentary on it. Play it, Smith.
Democrats are getting a little bit tight right now. It's their constituents, a lot of them, that in some of these inner cities that they're going to need SNAP to survive, and they're getting a lot of calls, and the pressure is going to be put on them. A lot of people need to go back to work. A lot of young men that are on SNAP that should be working.
That's actually not true. It's a lot of your people, not the inner city. You hear the dog whistle, y'all? The inner city. Young men, he didn't have to say black. Lee Atwater said we don't have to call people the N-word anymore. We just talk about welfare and we just talk. But the truth is, Tommy Tuberville is your people, the red states. And apparently elderly, military, and 40% of children. Stop lying. You know it's bad when Luke Campbell, Uncle Luke, I want to rock, boom, 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 is out here tweeting about Tommy Tuberville. Luke Campbell tweeted, Tommy Tuberville made his career off the backs of young black men, walked into black homes to recruit their kids, got rich, got famous, ran for Senate. And now he's screwing over the very people who made him. Hypocrisy at its finest. How many other college coaches feel the same way? You know, a lot of them do. I've always had a dream that black children would wake the F up and never run a down, never shoot a hoop for a coach that wasn't an HBCU coach. What would the HBCU look like if those top players, we know what it would look like, because didn't we see Jackson State have the NCAA by the short and curlies? Didn't we watch Deion Sanders and Shador and Travis Hunter and Shiloh and them just tear it up? Didn't we? We saw what it looked like when one coach. What would it look like if all of the talent went to where they were wanted, not to where they could be used? What would it look like? What would it look like? Oh, they need to find out. Damn it, if we only had the fortitude to make them feel that. Finally, I'm going to play a clip from a woman. Her name is Charity Faye Alexander. She's on Snap. She uses Snap. She's a melanemic woman, and she had something to say. Play it, Smiz.
So a few days ago, I made a video where I was breaking down what I get each month in food stamps, my SNAP benefits, CalFresh, and how much that comes out to a day. So I made this video because I received an email stating that my benefits for the month of November were going to be delayed. And I made this video not as a complaint, but to bring awareness to the fact that we live in a society where paralyzing food insecurity exists. And that's crazy. It ended up going mildly viral. And I was a bit surprised at how many negative comments I received. People are saying, get a job. There's so many comments that said, get a job. Why don't you work? I couldn't believe it. And I was like, wow, do people really believe that people on food stamps don't have jobs? That we are just lazy sitting around eating food? Is that what you think? That video got a little bit of attention, and Camilla Rambaldi from Channel 4 News reached out to me this morning, actually, and she asked if I would be willing to do an interview on this topic and if they could use the video I posted. And I said yes to all of those things. So that's what happened today. It's pretty cool. And I'm going to try my best to stay out of the comments from that last post because none of them are really good. I mean, there's a few that stand out that are kind and supportive, but most of them are awful. So, oh man, and I have compassion. The reason why I have compassion is because I'm like, when our leader displays the disposition of a playground bully, what do I expect his followers to be like?
Yes, bullies. Bullies, very miserable people is what they are. They're miserable. And you know the adage, misery loves company? Have you heard that? I was pondering that today. I was driving around. I was like, misery loves company. What? I wonder where that phrase came from. And I kind of knew it originates from a Latin phrase, solum miseris socios habuis dolores, which translates literally to it is a comfort to the unfortunate to have companions in woe. This phrase that we throw around a lot first appeared in Christopher Marlowe's 16th century play, The Tragical History of Dr. Faustus. You know him from a lot of literature. But in this, the demon, Mephistopheles, spoke those words, solum miseris socios habuis dolores. Mephistopheles spoke those words, and the idea was also earlier expressed by Sophocles. It's been, throughout time. But in Marlowe's play, the demon Mephistopheles says this original phrase, and when asked why Satan seeks to expand his kingdom, Paradise Lost, he was asked, Mephistopheles, why does Satan want to expand his kingdom? And he said, it is a comfort to the unfortunate to have companions in woe. So there's misery in this. It's baked in. These people are miserable. Trump is miserable. Stephen Miller's miserable. Kristi Noem is miserable. She wouldn't have to do all of the changes. These are miserable people. And they want everyone else miserable. The people who voted for this must not have good lives, because there's no way in hell you could want other people to be in hell unless you're in hell and you want company. So I'm going to end on this note that in studying this, I know we're on the right path, y'all. That what is the antidote? What is the opposite of misery? It is joy. So somehow we're going to have to figure it out. And maybe this is a wake-up call for us to get back in the community. Those of us who have been on the outskirts or buying into this rugged individualism and out here doing it on our own, and going to find ourselves in a time where we're going to have to lean on one another. This is that time. And in the leaning on one another, we're going to figure some things out that we probably needed to have done all along. There's strength in numbers. There's still some hope. I'm looking at the tide turning in the Senate. They just voted to stop Trump's tariffs on Canada. Canada just trolled them last week with the Reagan thing, and Trump was fee-fi-fo-fi mad out there. Well, his 4 Republicans voted to stop any kind of tariffs against Canada, 50-46. Mitch McConnell, glitchy ass, falling down, barely here. I don't even know if he is here, really. But he voted. Susan Collins, she actually woke the F up. Oh, is she running for re-election? Does she need that seat? Yes, I think she does. And are her constituents giving her the business? Yes, because when people stand up, guess what happens? Guess what happens? These are politicians. They're not your friends. They are moved by you. So when you let the bullies on the playground kick everybody's milk cups out of their hands, this is what happens. You don't let that happen. You show up. Susan Collins people been showing up. You know what she did? She voted no. Lisa Murkowski, who said she was scared earlier this year, she was scared. Somehow she found a battery in her back. She voted no. And Rand Paul's been out there. He didn't get invited nowhere. He's like, I'm voting no too. The tide is turning. Josh Harley, the tide is turning. Because people are in the streets. Keep it going, y'all. Now let's come with a plan. On top of the No Kings rally, let's keep going. But it's working because these are politicians. They're moved by money and they're moved by constituents. And if they can't get the vote, they can't win. We're the vote. Show up. Oh, I'm not voting. Stop it. Stop it. You're part of the problem. All right, when we come back, we're going to talk more. The number here is 866. 801-8255. We're going to talk, and some of y'all need to run. Some of you need to support. Some of you need to get out there and poll, watch, not on the pole dancing. We're going to talk OnlyFans today, too. Yeah, I'm hot like fish grease. It is Thrive Thursday on the Karen Hunter Show. The number is 866-801-TALK, and we'll be right back.
At the forefront of fighting for freedom,